What's up, y'all? I'm Chance, and in my last video, I touched up on a lot of different topics. But really, it was just a real authentic video where I, just came out and told y'all really how I'm feeling and, what this has been like for me, over these past couple, months of 2026. It hasn't been the best, it hasn't been the greatest, and I have been in a season of depression. But I am making my way through it now, and this is my best way to, I guess, cope through that and just get my thoughts and my ideas and my feelings, just anything internal, just to project it outwards and to be able to just channel, harvest all of that and just, just get it out, right? So today in this video, I want to tell you guys about my life story. My life has had a lot of ups and downs, and I believe, everybody, has had a taste of that, Nobody's life is really perfect, but I feel like everybody um like in all right, in one of J. Cole's songs, he says that there's no such thing as a life better than yours, right? And I believe that in a way, and it just shows you really, like, he's really just telling you how to be grateful for, the things that you got, and realizing that who you are and what your life is like, there's no other, right? Who you are, who your name is, everything you got in the inside of you, and just like how your life is having, nobody else has had that life, right? So that's special, that means something, and I just believe, like, if a lot of us get to the point where we can really just like find out who we truly are and what our purpose here on this earth is, and like just what we're here for, and really who we are, like, then we could like change the world and, realize that, love and truth and trust always triumphs everything. It always goes outside and above and within anything. Like, so that's what's truly important. And when you keep your eyes on that, then everything's fine. But yeah. So with that out of the way, let's talk about my life. So, all right. So when I was a kid, I'm still a kid now, pretty much. I'm 18. But when I was young, when I was first born, um, so when I was first born, uh, my mom and dad, I guess when I was around 1 years old, approaching two, they broke up. And so that caused me to, well, yeah, that caused me to grow up and, never really see my dad and be around my father. Um, and so I was, pretty much always dependent on my mom, and, she was taking care of me. She was a single mother. Um, and, for a while, I didn't really know who my dad was. I may have talked to him on the phone every once in a while, but I didn't really like know him, you know? But eventually, my mom, she got married to my stepdad, and he's in the military. So, and they got married when I was around like 5 to 6. So once they got married, then we moved. And that was my first time, at 5, like being in a house. Because before that, me and my mom moved around a couple times. She had an apartment, stayed with some family members. And then eventually, like I said, they got married and then moved into their new house, and I was with them. So this is where it begins. So chapter 1, right? Me at 6 years old. I'm in elementary school now. Um, I I realized that, like, all right. me as a kid, I feel like I was always a good kid. Like I was very talkative, right? Very creative and very loving by nature. So I just always just had a thing for, just trying to like just make something, create something, or just being like I was basically an extrovert. Like I was literally like I was just as bright as light as can be, I was just lighthearted, loving, funny too, probably. But and none of that changed for a couple years, like for years like that was just me. But what happened was around that time frame when I was 6, my um you know I guess not really having my biological father, that messed me up some, and it made me realize that I realized that my stepfather wasn't my real dad. And even though he felt like a father figure, like I just knew, and he saw it that way as well. But he was married to my mom, so there it was. But I remember I would want to call my dad on the phone more, and I was just beginning to wonder why, like, he was never there, like why I couldn't see him, or things like that. And I was always wondering why, like, my mom would always talk bad about him on the phone and say he's this and that, and it would make me feel some type of way as that little kid, because I'm like, you know I'm thinking of my dad, of my my father, in high regard. I'm like, oh, I think my dad's cool. I think my dad is just like me. Like, does my dad like to build Legos too? Like all types of stuff. But I didn't know. And I just realized that, like, you know, I I guess at that time I just realized that I don't know. It was just kind of weird. But what I did was I began to, I guess, try to get attention in a way. So like I would begin to act out. And when I say act out, like I'll go to school and just, like just do stuff, I guess, cuz I don't really know. But what this bread was like, what this off bread, like what this produced was, instead of, like them, like my mom and stepdad realizing that you know I'm just you know um having like a emotional response at that age, because it was my dad, or I don't like anything. Instead of them like trying to sit down and talk, they were trying to look for a problem, right? Trying to look for a problem that I had, or a problem like with me, right? And the truth was, there was literally no problem with me. As like as a kid, there was literally no problem with me. Like, literally, I would like when I say creative, I mean creative, bro. Like I could sit and build Legos all freaking day, build the craziest, most like jaw-dropping things ever. Like literally, like I was 6 years old building 18 plus Lego sets. 18 plus, like my age right now, I'm 18. Like people my age now that are into Legos, or like building, or like creating, whatever, bruh. Like people always say I was doing that at 6, creating the craziest things, and then if they ended up breaking or something, I would, or whatever with my other parts, I would just make my own stuff, and it'll all be good. It'll function properly. Like I was just that's just who I was. Um, but yeah, so on and so forth. I mm, Hold on, let me process for a second. From there, okay, so from there we moved, right? And we moved around a lot. And mind you, like I said, my stepdad was in the army. So we would move every couple of years, but I didn't know like what that was like at the time, because I wasn't used to a change like that. So, but any little friends I had in elementary, just had to let them go and, never talk to them again or whatever. And, like I was saying about, them trying to find a problem with me or whatever, I guess they did. And, that kind of put me in a little box and, I couldn't really like do too much anymore. Like, like I said about building Legos and like, being in my room, if I was like too much in my room, they'll be like, oh, why don't you ever go outside? You're just this is that and the other. So I'll try to talk to them or whatever, be just myself. Oh, why do you talk so much? You're just annoying, and mind you, by them doing little things like that, that was slowly planting seeds of just like negativity on how I think, how I thought about myself or whatever. But they're doing that at 6. And I would want to do like extracurricular activities too, like karate, things of that nature. I'll go into it, and then a couple weeks later, I'll get taken right out of it. I still don't really know why to this day, but it's just what it was. So that kind of just put me on a path, on a track to feel like nothing I was doing was ever right or that it was gonna work out, and that was just what I was playing in my head, right? But stuff like that would keep happening, and yeah, it would just make me feel inadequate, right? So growing up, couple years down the road, and we moved around a couple times. We moved to Colorado, and this is where I guess like the next arc or the next phase begins. So once I moved to Colorado, that's where I probably felt like the happiest in my life. That's where I felt like I had the most like realest friends. I felt like I could, express myself in a healthy way. And I was in middle school around this time too, so everything was just, felt like peaches and cream, I guess. I had little girlfriends or whatever too. Didn't do nothing, obviously, but it was good. It was like a good kind of like almost now it feels like a dream, right? But it was a good like setup phase for like what was to come. And yeah, overall, it's just really peaceful. I mean, Colorado is a peaceful place, honestly. Like, just thinking about it, I get kind of calm because like, it's just so serene and blissful in a way. Um, but yeah, I remember I had a lot of fun. That doesn't mean everything was perfect or whatever, but it was just a really good time. And I would love to go back there, like, to just be there again. But I don't really recall why, but I remember that I actually left from Colorado. I took a plane to go see my dad and live with him or whatever for like the first time. And I did that for about a year, and it didn't really go so good. I was sleep, bro. Honestly, I was sleeping on a couch for that whole year. My dad had a girlfriend, and his girlfriend had a son, and he's younger than me. And it went cool, with him or whatever. Um, but I don't know. It wasn't really like I guess what I needed. I needed to be there. I needed to be in Colorado with my mom at that time. I didn't really need to be there. Like it wasn't time yet. But I was there for a whole freaking year, and just yeah, and yeah. But I guess in some ways that matured me. I was around 12, right? So 12, and then that upcoming year I was turning 13. So when I went back to Colorado, like I said, I was 12 years old, and this was around in 2020. Yeah, like right in 2020, and we all know what happened in 2020. So around March, wait, January, February, March, yeah, so around March, April, everything hit a decline. We're all in quarantine. Things weren't really going that good, right? Because we all hit that isolation phase. But before that, like when I first came back, I had fun. Met people, you know, whatever. Like I said, I had a little girlfriend, but then yeah, and COVID hit, and anything I was doing at that time, like I was trying to run track, like all types of stuff, all that ceased to exist, and Literally, I would just, start like getting on the game just like everybody else, or being on my phone a bunch, because that's what we're all doing. But we actually had to move, and we moved literally on my birthday. So we moved from Colorado, like the place where I felt like it was home. We literally moved on the day, of my birthday. And mind you, my birthday is in September. So, and I had turned 13, so it was approaching like a new season. It was around there. Bro, again, I had to leave everything behind, and that sucked real bad. So I mean, that sucked horribly. And where we moved to, it wasn't as good as Colorado either, bro. Like it sucked. Like it was literally horrible. Like that was the first time I ever felt depression in my life. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't even know, bro. Listen, I did not even know what depression was, and I was feeling it to my core. So all that creativity, all that life, all that, you know, just expressiveness that I was talking about that I had when I was younger, all of that was gone. It just perished, bro. And I guess it was because like I just felt like I lost. Like I was just defeated. Like there was, you know, it was like hitting that existential crisis at 13. That's literally what it was. And then that began, to make me think about a bunch of stuff and just get into my head. That's what it was. Bottom line, after I moved from Colorado to New York, I was just stuck in my head, bruh. Like I just retreated. Like it was like, I was so like fluid, just cool, just being myself. All that ceased to exist, and then I just retreated. Just got into my own brain. And it sucked, bro. It was actually excruciating, bro. Like I hated it so bad. And I'm not even gonna get all into detail with all the specifics. I may do that in the future because, this is what I want to do. Story times. I even want to do reactions, like all types of stuff. Like I have so many different ideas. But not right now. Right? We just gonna keep it where it's at. So from there, I realized like I had to really realize like this is not where I want to be. I can't stay here no longer, right? So what did that cause me to do? That caused me to make the only move that I could make, and that was to go back with my dad, my biological dad. And I did, and things weren't great. It was a lot of mess. It was a lot of chaos, honestly. And with that depression and emptiness I had at that time, with the way that my real dad is, it two and two did not mix well. It did not go together. And at that time I was really beginning to realize why my mom said this things that she said about him, because it just like it all began to really make sense. And yeah, and that just led me down a path of just, I guess, really starting to have to figure everything out, and and just like see more of like what I want for my life, learn more of who I am as a person, learn what makes a man a real man, right? Learn what makes a person a good person, right? Like I was really learning these things. And eventually, a couple years past that, I had to relearn to find the light that once made me. I had to learn to find that again within myself. And I had help, and I did have love. And my I believe that my grandmother, my great grandmother, is the one to thank for that, because she ended up giving me a home. I stayed with her, and I began to just really find my passion again and find my will to live, and just enjoy life. And with her and her life experience, um she would tell me about her life and just give me really valuable lessons. Those lessons still stick with me now. um she just gave me unconditional love, and just a home, like a real home, right? A home where I can plant my roots and I can make something, right? So it doesn't feel like everything is just gonna change, or everything is just, you know, always bound to, either fall apart or, anything, bro. Just anything I was thinking, like I felt like I could finally I felt like I could finally breathe, right? All the chaos and just, you know, absurd changes and stress that I had growing up when I was younger, all of that just slowly melted away, just slowly blew away. And I could finally learn how to be right here in the moment. And my mind began to open up too, to see what it is I want for my life, right? I began to dream, I began to envision things, I began to make goals, I began to be like, I want to be this, I want to get here, you know. And I was in high school at this time, so all of that, it began to produce and help me, it began to really be productive and positive, right? In a way. It definitely was. And last year, so 2025, I started getting in the gym. I was taking care of myself. I was eating good. I was healthy. And overall, 2025, it was honestly, overall, 2025 was an up and down year. I'll give it like a 50-50. But the beginning part, it was good. And then, like, I was a senior, so I graduated that year. And then I ended up going back with my mom, years later. um, and I had some good experiences. It wasn't all blissful, and I do have to take some part. I do have to take my part in that as well. I probably wasn't the best me at that time. I guess it was a confusing time graduating high school, so yeah, I got to take my own accountability for that. But I ended up going back to my grandma's house. So graduated, went with my mom, then went back, and after that, I was continuing my like routine, like my just like my system for how I live, like work out, eat, just live, bro. And then my grandmother passed away. It's hard to talk about. I ain't finna get emotional on here. We talking about my life story, but I ain't gonna I ain't gonna get into it, but yeah, she passed away, and that destroyed me, and that felt like everything just fell apart. Like, and it and I definitely didn't make good decisions at that time either, because my emotions like just went everywhere, all that chaos and inner turmoil I had felt for years. I was just letting out, right? Mind you, that was only really like a couple months ago. It wasn't even too long ago. Um, and we're in a brand new year now, but yeah, man, that hurt in so many ways. Like, I don't even know how to explain. And yeah, it was real tough. But I ended up actually, a family member ended up reaching out and told me that I can stay with them. So I ended up taking that offer, and now I'm here where I am, and just trying to make something out of it. I'm really trying to make something out of it. So um all the dreams I had, all the visions and just like goals I was trying to set out, I I'm doing it now. It's not even I want to or I will. No, I'm doing it now. The time for wasting time and feeling bad and doubting or feeling sorry, you know, bro, all that shit's over with. Right? I'm done with all that shit. It's no more of that. Not no more. It's my time now. You know, and for that younger me that had all that ambition, all that, I don't even say ambition, just creativity and just life, right? Just flourishing life. For that little me, I'm gonna do it for him, you know. That young that young Chance, right? The younger version of me. He created this channel, Chance A Million, right? That was the first real like creation I really, created, and like again, I was always just creating stuff, but this was like, it was like just something that just resonated with me, at that time. I was like, I want to do YouTube. And I made the name Chance A Million to show that, well, not just to show, but I made the name Chance A Million to basically as a goal for myself, to show myself that I can hit 10 million, that I can hit 1 million subscribers, I can hit 10 million, 100, whatever, right? I wanted to get 1 million subscribers. And also it was because I had like 1 million ideas, and that's what I said literally on my first ever video created at 10 years old. I said, like, I just have like a bunch of ideas I want to do. I'm creative. I blah blah blah. But I wanted to hit 1 million. And I just knew I could really take it somewhere. But and I was actually consistent too. That's the thing, bro. That little man, he was consistent. He was putting them videos out there. But the thing is, he was just having fun. I was just having fun doing it, bro, because it was my passion, right? I've always knew filming, cinematography, like all these, like just all of it, speaking, right? All of it, even probably acting too, like all of it is my passion. Like I have a art for these things. Same thing with music, same thing with all of it, bruh. I said bruh kind of weird, but anyway, but like it's just in me, right? It's just in me, and I knew that I could make it, that I could make it into something, that I could inspire people, that I could change things, right? That I could move things. And so I did, and so I began to, and so I, jumped on, but of course it stopped. And reasoning being behind that is because, kind of what I said, a couple minutes ago in the video, that, just growing up with my mom or whatever, it was just, I feel like I would be producing some and then it would stop pretty much, right? Because whatever, right? But that was all just what it was. But what it is now, like none of that matters, right? Like literally none of that shit matters. That's all an excuse. I'm 18. I'm 18 years old now. So what does that mean? That means everything now I take account for. Everything now I'm independent for. Everything now I'm responsible for. So if I want to tell if I want to tell myself that lie from way when then, that's on me. But if I say, nah, I'm not going to believe that BS, I'm not going to believe that, that's not my truth. My truth is what I tell myself my truth is, right? My truth is what I want to do, right? My truth is how I want to move, right? What I want to do in my life. Then that's on me. Then that's how I live, right? So that's exactly what I'm going to do. And that's why I'm making this video, right? That's why I'm going to keep making videos, right? Because I want to prove to myself, I want to prove to that younger Chance, I want to prove to that little me that I am Chance A Million, that I will reach that point. I will be there. I will succeed. I will live the life of my dreams. I will be the Chance that creates his legacy. I will be the Chance that leaves behind his legacy, right? For generations. I'll be important, I'm going to go by my purpose. I'm going to live the life, right? I'm going to have fun. I'm going to inspire people. I'm going to do all those things because that's who I am, right? I'm going to be the Hokage one day, but nah, for real. That's who I am. So let's do it, yeah. But anyways, man, thank y'all for watching. I actually thank y'all. If you made it to the end, thank you so much for watching. This was raw, unfiltered, just me coming on here genuinely and authentically, Yeah, it's my life story, and all that accumulated, I'm here now, right? So let's make something out of it. I have dreams to accomplish, I have goals to fulfill. Let's make all of this real, man. Love y'all. Chance a million, chance unlimited, only Dreamville. All right. Oh, yeah, you know what I'm saying? We got a lot. We got a lot going on. But yeah, peace out, y'all. Chance a million. Thank y'all for watching. Love y'all. Peace.